Hello everyone. I thought we'd share something a little differently in this week's blog and video. We're all being challenged like we haven't been before in terms of COVID-19 and the related impacts on our personal lives and our businesses. So today we've tried something new in terms of giving you a little bit of information on how we're seeing different elements of business and the economy in the current environment, and some thoughts about how to deal with some of those hard issues. One of the questions our clients have been asking us, and also we've been contemplating ourselves in thinking about the way forward, is will there be an appetite for businesses in this current market? Will there be transactions? Will people be looking to buy businesses? And what will that appetite be, and what will be the things that will impact that? Well, our early thinking is, in fact, there will be an appetite for investors and others looking to buy businesses, and perhaps some businesses looking to add on business lines by acquisition. And that appetite will be somewhat conservative given the downside risks that this is offering in the market. And it'll be shaped a lot also by the ability to finance those deals. And what we're seeing for our clients in their interactions with the banking sector is the banking sector at the moment is very much focused on their existing client base and ensuring that their clients are suitably covered in terms of their facilities and that they understand the risks associated with their businesses moving forward. But in terms of funding acquisitions, most business acquisitions we feel are going to be funded largely through equity rather than debt. It's going to be hard initially anyhow to get debt funding for a new deal. I'm not saying it's impossible, but the weight is going to be on equity. And therefore, that is going to bring a range of deal structuring to the table in order to stitch deals together, because some purchasers won't be wanting to fund a whole deal on equity, and therefore you'll see that they will reflect some of that risk back on the vendors in terms of vendor finance or other ways where the vendor takes some of the risk in the short term on a deal. But we think as things settle and it becomes clearer over the next 4 to 6 to 8 weeks, there will be opportunities, and we're already seeing people in the market looking out for potential businesses to buy and inquiring. We're all only too familiar now, unfortunately, with physical and social distancing, as it's been termed, and the effect it has on us as individuals. But the effect it has on businesses is far-reaching, particularly in the food service, hospitality, and event sectors, leisure sectors. And it's caused businesses to rethink the way their products are presented to the customer. Some businesses really struggle with how to turn their product and present it in a different way, but other businesses have grasped this and they've been assisted by online platforms. This has provided an opportunity to move over the threshold of embracing online platforms, delivery platforms, and distribution channels that are flexible to deliver products and services in different ways. And I feel, despite the hardship of the change, it can only be good coming out of the change, because it means that many of these businesses will now end up with multi-channel abilities to deliver their products. Commercial property and business premises, physical business premises, is one of the big impacts of COVID-19. Working from home and flexible work environments have been a mantra for a number of years. And I think corporates and other businesses embraced it to different degrees. What COVID-19 has done is forced a dramatic change. And, I think it's almost a disruption in the market, which we're going to see a totally different dynamic around business premise and the way in which it's used. I liken it to the impact that Uber had on the taxi industry. Uber effectively utilised capital that was already tied up in personal vehicles and not utilised in terms of travel time, and leveraged that as a competitor to taxis, and in a very effective and efficient way. And what it's forced the taxi industry to do is change its service standards and change the way it delivers its service to customers as competition to Uber. Now, I think we're going to find a similar impact, different, but similar in terms of commercial property. And, landlords, like it or not, are going to have to look at the tenants' requirements. Businesses are going to have to look at their requirements and say, do we need a physical presence? If we do, what cost to our business is that? And what form does it take? What's the desk cost? And what's the people cost around that? And what's the flexibility that we might have? Similarly, because of these impacts, businesses are having to grapple with the cost of remote servicing their teams and effectively, providing the platform for their people to operate effectively in front of clients and in delivering products. So this is it's a very challenging impact which will play out over a number of months and years. But I think there are some opportunities here in terms of business costs and greater flexibility, and also work-life balance. There's some challenges on both sides of that coin, which will need to be addressed by business as we go forward. Recently, I was asked, how's your business going? And, you do a lot of business valuations. Is this really a time when people will be getting their business valued because the market's so volatile and it's on a downward trend potentially? And I reflected on that, and my initial answer was, look, I think it's going to be fairly quiet for our business valuation practice for a period. We've certainly got a number of valuations we're doing at the moment, but they resulted from a prior market, prior COVID-19. So that was my response, but I was very surprised this week when I received a call from a past client, quite a large retail wholesale-based client in the digital technology sector. And their question was, James, we'd like you to update a recent valuation you did on our business. We're thinking of progressing the family succession that we've had in mind for a number of years, and we're wondering whether this might be an opportune time. I have to say I was quite surprised, but when you think about it, this is threshold period. There's a lot of changes at foot. The business I'm talking about is a family-based business where there are children involved in the business, but not yet with big ownership stakes. And the owners, being the parents, are looking to have the business transferred at an optimum time and achieving an optimum financial result. And therefore, with the current changes in the market, it might well be that a valuation now might provide an opportunity to minimise the costs associated with a transfer, but also achieve succession in a time when the market coming out of this may be very different from that which has been displayed for the last 10 or 20 years under the current ownership. So we are seeing people consider this time as a critical time for planning their future. Leading on from the opportunity to value your business in terms of succession and the opportunity for planning and making some pretty tough decisions. I can think of a brief chat with a client the other day where they said they're part of a small board, a large company that's got 1,000 people. The board got together and said, right, can the board run this company without any people? And they said, well, no, the board can't do that. They've got X, Y, Z expertise. Okay, well, who do we need in addition to the board to run the company, and why? And that's a pretty stark question. I mean, one would very rarely ask such a question around a board table. And I don't want that to be taken as negative, but it underlines the point. Companies that we deal with and all around Australia, right from the top of the corporate tree down, are making very, very hard decisions. It's not just about discretionary spending, it's about cost savings, to ensure that you have an efficient company that has a variable cost base as much as possible. One thing this virus and the impacts are showing is that we all need flexibility and diversity. Diversity in our income stream and flexibility in our cost base to scale up or down depending on the environment we're in. This is a great excuse to really peel back the onion, so to speak, and make some hard decisions about what shape your company, what shape your people, how does your business model work, how does your physical structure work, what's the best balance sheet and funding structure for your business. The smart businesses here, even if their balance sheets are quite strong and they have funding lines, are going to their banks with reforecasts and securing extra funding lines just in case things over the next 6 to 12 months become more difficult, because cash flow and surplus cash positions are going to be absolutely key as we map through this exercise. So getting good advice around that and tackling the hard decisions in a concerted, careful but deliberate way is a must. And one's got to have a conservative view about them, but they've also got to put an opportunistic lens over the future beyond the initial 3, 6, 9 months as we map through the survival, protection and emergence to the new normal, if you like, in terms of the other side. We'd really appreciate your feedback. Let us know some questions and issues that you'd like to have addressed, or some feedback and experience that you've had which you think might be interesting to share. And above all, be cautious but keep confident, because there will be opportunities for us all as we work through this difficult time.